I want to take just a moment and talk about division with you guys today. If you have not watched the multiplication video, you may want to check that one out. This one just kind of corresponds with that, and this is how we're doing division. We start off, and first of all, in third grade, we really don't do any long division. That comes in fourth grade. But right now, what we look at is the process of division, and they need to be looking at the idea of it. The biggest thing that they struggle with right now is the idea of when do I divide versus when do I multiply. They get those two things confused. So I really have them act out, that if you are doing multiplication, that is building it, making a group. But if you have division, then you have one group that you are taking apart and putting it into smaller pieces here. So in other words, you have the whole. And so that's language I use with them. In this process of 12 divided by 4, my hope is that the students will instantly know that the answer is 3. But to know that, you have to be very fluent with your facts, not only with multiplication, but also that inverse of division. And so a lot of times that doesn't happen yet, and so we'll get there. But for the meantime, what I would have them do for this is I do not have them usually start with a picture of 12 and divide that out, into circles of 4, because they have that idea, and they could if they absolutely had to. But what I try to get them to do is instead use a more efficient strategy. So for this, a good way to think of this is 4 times a number equals 12. Relating it to multiplication helps them because then they can count by their 4s to get there. So then I know my 4 multiples. We sing songs in class to help us memorize those, and you'd be surprised my students have a lot of multiples memorized because of those silly songs. But here I would just start counting with my multiples until I reach this whole. So 4, 8, 12, I reached that, so I did that 3 times. So then my answer is 3. And if they're looking at the multiples, then that helps them not only with multiplication but also with division. And it's a lot more of an efficient strategy than taking a picture of 12 and circling out 4 at a time, 4 at a time, 4 at a time, especially whenever you get into bigger numbers. Imagine if you were having 81 divided by 9. To have a picture of 81 objects and have to divide them up 9 times is very confusing, but working with multiples can be a little bit more efficient.